just waiting a second for some people to join. How we doing, Aaron?
Wait a little.
Hey everybody, I'm Rick Beato. For some of you that just became subscribers, we had over 1,000 yesterday, so you may not be familiar with my live streams, which I do about probably once a week or so, maybe sometimes twice a week, depending on what I have to talk about. But they're pretty much like my videos where I teach stuff. But I also have announcements that I make, and you can ask questions. So that's the other part of it that's a little different. I want to go over a couple basic things before we get started. We're going to be talking about open string chords for the guitar, and these aren't your basic cowboy chords. These are hip open string chords that can be used in pop songwriting and rock songwriting and jazz and anything, in hip hop, whatever you want to use them in. You can, you know, if you're an EDM composer and you want to add a little guitar in there, some of these are pretty simple chords to play if you have some basic guitar skills. And I'll explain some of the theory behind them, but I'm going to show you a bunch of them. And a lot of them are out of my book, the Beato book, where I have hundreds of them. And I'm actually going to be looking at some of them, even though I'm going to be talking about stuff that's not in the book too, which I pretty much do most of the time. Okay, a couple things to talk about. We just hit 95,000 subscribers, thanks to you guys, which is amazing. And that 100K mark is right around the corner. If we get 1,000 today, you know, it could be 2 days from now, 3 days from now, you know. Share it with your friends, tell them about my channel, and become part of the community here. So, also, I have a master class here in Atlanta. For those of you that live anywhere in the area here, it's on July 29th, and the details are on my website at rickbeato.com. Would love to meet you in person. You know, if you live in Birmingham, if you live in Orlando, wherever, you want to drive up for the day, it's a 9 to 5, 8-hour workshop that's going to cover all the different things I talk about on here, from music theory, film scoring, ear training, everything, improvisation, and unlike my videos, I can play music at it. So if we're talking about film scoring, I can actually play the film scores and then talk about what they're doing. And I can give you some of the scores to them as well, because I have scores to hundreds of film scores. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or not. Anyways, okay, maybe I won't. I'm just, I'll secretly give them to you. Anyways, also I have a Reddit subreddit called Everything Music. Aaron, who's moderating for me, is sitting about 20 feet away here. Aaron, what's the deal with the subreddit? Is it called Everything Music?
Everything Music, yes.
Just called Everything Music. So you can join, and one of the reasons why we're having a subreddit is I wanted to find a place that people can discuss titles to help me out, and you can discuss whatever you'd like there. I'm going to post some things there. I might do a Q&A sometime there, but I'm trying to find a good place instead of putting them in the comments section on YouTube, where it's hard to see because I get so many comments. I don't get a chance to go through all of them because I have 300 videos, 300 plus videos. So that's a place to go. If you have a specific title, don't just talk in general. Give me a good title, because I can do videos right off titles. Anyway, so let's get to 100,000 and let's get started today. Open string chords. Well, there's a lot of really famous open string chords. I'll give you an example that some of you might know. Now you know this if you're either over 50 years old or you love Pink Floyd. You know that tune, which I'm sure there's plenty of people that are in their 20s that love Pink Floyd, because there's always been people in their 20s for the last 50 years that have loved Pink Floyd. That's Shine On You Crazy Diamond, which is one of my favorite open string chords ever in rock and roll. And then it does the build up on C, and it goes back. Okay, so what chord is that? Well, if you put your third finger, it's a B flat This is kind of a tricky chord to name, okay, because you've got B flat, G, F, and E in it. You could call it some type of a B flat, you know, Lydian with a sixth in it, but there's not a lot to describe the chord there. You could call it, if you put a C in the bass, then it becomes like a C, sus4 with a third in it, C7 sus4 with a 3 in it. But anyway, so it's 8th fret of the D string, open G, 6th fret of the B string, open E, and you just alternate pick it. D string, B string, G string, E string. Now, I have a very cool flanger sound, which is actually a Phase 90 that's been modded, that my friend Guido did, that I'm using for it to give it that Leslie rotary effect. But that is a really cool, one of my favorite open string chords. Another one of my favorite open string parts, there's so many of them, but like in Help by the Beatles. Then it goes up to A. That's in the intro of Help, and that's a thing that I remember when I was first starting the guitar, I could never figure out what that was. I was like, what is that part? Because they play it really fast. So that's a line cliche, basically, that's played from the 7th fret of the A string to the 5th fret of the D string, and then open B and E, open G and B. And that's called a line cliche because there's a lot of tunes that use these. There's jazz tunes, My Funny Valentine. There are rock tunes like Fixin' a Hole by the Beatles. You know, there's tons of Beatles songs. There's Michelle that uses that. There's Stairway to Heaven uses a line cliche. Line cliches are tunes that have half-step movement, usually starting on a, typically they're on a minor chord, and then it goes to a minor major 7, then a minor 7, then a minor 6. So that's the open string lick from Help. You also have other Beatles tunes like Blackbird that so that uses all these open strings. And I can talk about that later on when I do my Beatles video, where I'm going to talk about Beatles tunes and how to play them. I'll talk about Blackbird, but that's a great example of open strings. But what I want to talk about is how to take things that you already know and then use them in other ways. For example, basic open string chords that you probably already know. Like, for example, C add 9. This is a like a C major chord, but you have the 3rd fret of the B string and 3rd fret of the E string. Now that chord is great and works as a C add 9 chord, but if you move it up a half step, it becomes a beautiful D flat Lydian sound. If you move it up a whole step to the 5th fret, it's an E add 9 chord with a 6th. If you move it up to the 7th fret, so my index finger's on the 7th fret, it works as an F major style voicing, F major 9. Move it up here to the 9th fret, it becomes a G, so you can go, or okay, so that's a really cool movable shape, as we call it on the guitar, but there, or 5th fret, it becomes a D sus4 3 chord. So, which is like the tune Just by Radiohead, which is kind of like Starship Trooper by Yes, which uses how's that go on? I'm trying to think of it. Oh, Starship Trooper, yes. For those of you that listen to, I think it's on Yes or on Fragile or Yes songs. So this is a form of a C chord, but you put your third finger on the low E string here at the 10th fret. You block the A, then you play the 8th fret of the D string, open G, 9th fret of the D string, open G, 8th fret B string, and then the pinky at the 10th fret. So the pinky and the third finger are both in the same fret. So and it goes down, same chord down to the 4th fret index finger, then down to C. That's like a C over G. So. Figured out that, wow, you can take some of these shapes and really come up with some cool guitar parts with them. Now, things that I like that you can use for jazz and for pop songs, there's a great, when I first started learning these things outside the normal cowboy chords, if you want to call it, or the normal chord shapes like this, I remember I got a Pat Metheny record that a friend of mine turned me on to back in the 1978. It was the White Album. It's the first Pat Metheny group album. And he has a tune called April Wind, I think it's called, and it has a really great chord progression. And it starts here at the 5th fret. So it's 5th fret A string, 7th fret D string, open G, 7th fret B, open E. And it goes like this. Then it goes down to B minor here with an open string. So all the notes are played on only on the A, D, and B strings. But what Pat does is he actually alternates the bass like this. So on this B minor chord I've got the B, F sharp, open G, D, and high E. And you're just popping that index finger up. And then down to E minor here. G's in D minor. E flat. Cool chords here. You have this F major with the 6th and the 7th. F major with the 9th and the 7th. Then you got E minor here, and then you got D minor 11 with the 9th. Then you got B flat with the 6th and the sharp 11. And then you have a C Lydian. Now, I've mentioned C Lydian. I talked about that in the Radiohead video where I was playing Airbag, and I did that voicing there. That's an A Lydian, and all that means is an A major chord with a sharp 4. I'm using a mode to describe a chord. When I say Lydian, I'm meaning sharp 4, essentially. It's a shortcut, it's shorthand for that. It doesn't mean that it's the entire scale, but it comes from that scale, okay? So, here's a great Lydian chord that you can use that's similar to the Radiohead thing, but it's played here. Okay, so it's open A, then 7th fret D string, 6th fret G string, 4th fret on the B string, and then open E. So that's another way to play this. You can also do it here. You can play A, or you play A, E, A, D sharp, E. That's another A Lydian voicing that you can play. But a lot of the shapes that I like are, you know, where where you play the open B and E string. That's an F sharp minor 11 chord, which is a really beautiful, beautiful chord. Or you use the, this is another Radiohead chord. So this is a D major 9 over F sharp, or it's a D major 9 chord. So you go like, I got all those open strings, so A sus 4. So that chord there is a great chord for you to use for writing purposes. I'll tell you another cool chord that's similar to that is from the church. Earth goes up. This is a D9 over F sharp chord. This is one of my favorite chords to use. So it's like F sharp, open D, then the A, second fret on the G string, first fret, B string, open E. So. Then you go. So A minor. You'll also find that chord in Babe, I'm going to leave you. It's similar to that. That's it exactly, actually. Then Led Zeppelin. Another great open string song that uses open string chords. It goes A minor. You play the first 3 strings, A, D, and E string as you're holding an A minor shape, open E, and then you play just the inner 4 strings, and then you go, let's see. Oh yeah, okay, so it goes, this is C at 9 over G. Over G, and then D over F sharp. And there's your D7 over F sharp, or D9 if you play the open E. That's a great chord though, this if you're looking for something that's a little different, if some of you that play D over F sharp like that, you want to play D7 over F sharp, and that'll give you a different color. It'll open up some of your songwriting, give you a kind of a new chord to play there. So that's a really cool one. Here's other ones that I like the sound of. If you take the, and they particularly work well with strumming and things, but if I take a first inversion E major chord here, okay, so I'm playing the G sharp at the 4th fret of the E string, 2nd fret of the D string. I got my pinky at the 4th fret of the G string, and then open B and E. But I'm going to bar my index finger so I catch the 2nd fret of the A and D string with my pinky on the 4th fret here. Now this is a movable shape. It works in so many. It'd be like an F sharp 7 sus 4 over A sharp first inversion, but that's a first inversion G major chord, first inversion A major chord, first inversion B sus chord. There's a C major 7 in first inversion. So that voicing sounds huge because it uses all the lower strings and it's got those open strings ringing on top. So that's one you can really utilize. Now, if I go into my book here, where there are literally hundreds of chords, and I start to go through and play them, you know, you can play progressions like this. So I'm playing D minor with open strings, and I play D minor over C, B flat major 7 there. So I'm just playing 3 notes. So I've got open G and open E string, and then that's a really cool set of chords that can be used as a turnaround. I did a video yesterday on Blue Bossa, and I used this for a turnaround, as opposed to going. Nice to have a descending, but here it works great. If you're going to play How Insensitive, for example, by Jobim, so I'm playing. So I'm going to like. So I've got the open G and E there. If you hear Pat Metheny play, a lot of times he'll play that as an intro for the tune, or he'll play like. Instead of your standard, you know, instead of just staying on D minor 7, that's a nice substitution to actually keep some chord movement going in the progression. Now, you can also do things like this. You've got, instead of your standard E major chord, if you pop your pinky up to the 4th fret of the D string, you have E major 9, okay? If I go move that same chord up, then I get an E Lydian sound. If I put my pinky or my index finger back here, and that may be kind of a hard stretch for you, but that is a beautiful chord. That's an F sharp 7 with a 9th in the sus4. Same like this. So I've taken a B major with a sus4, and I've added the 9 to it. So I've got B, F sharp, C sharp, D sharp, E. And having that E string, taking advantage of that close dissonance here, that half-step dissonance there is really cool. You can use it for chords like A Lydian. You can use it for as the sus4 on a B chord. You can use it on so many different chords. You can use it as a sharp 4 on a B flat chord, right? Or if I play it like this. I love that chord. So what this is very hard to grab. To try and get the open string in there. I can do it easier on a different guitar. This actually has a kind of a thick neck. So it's got, I have a sus2 thing. I've got 8th fret of the 8th fret of the A string, 8th fret D string, 5th fret of the G string, 6th fret of the B string, and the open. It's a really, really cool chord for guitar if you can grab it. But if I start going through these things, like for example, here's a nice C sharp minor 9 sound where I'm taking advantage of the E again, and I have the D sharp. I have the D sharp and E together like this that provides the dissonance in the chord, and these are all in the Beato book. Every chord that I've played so far is in my book. If you play a simple, you can play a simple C major 7 where you're playing an E shape here at the 2nd fret. You can play this chord, which is a C major 7 sharp 5, which is a really cool chord that resolves to that. So if you're doing a 2-5-1 in D, or in C, I mean, you can go 2 chord to the 5 chord to the 1. That's a really nice way to utilize that major 7 sharp 5 and use the open strings. You'll hear Joe Beam do that on Girl from Ipanema, for example, like so I'm using the open strings on an F diminished, resolving to an F major 7. So I might go. Or using a diminished chord like that as a tonic, as a substitute to delay the resolution is really cool. And it works great as an open string voicing like that. Now, if I were to go through here and look at some of these other chords I've got, I mean, I've got so many different ones. Like, that's a beautiful C minor with a flat 6 there. So if I were to do a minor 2-5-1, if I'm going from D minor 7, flat 5 to G altered to a very cool minor 1 chord there. That's a little bit more advanced for that's a little bit more of an advance. That would be an Aeolian chord, or okay. And then some of my favorite chords. Here's one of my favorite ones. This is a B flat major 7 sharp 5. This is more for you jazz guys, but you can use this in a pop song if you're, you know, writing a Jobim type tune or something, or you want to just be cool and not play the same chords that everybody else plays, and you've got some EDM track that you want to play a voicing like this. So what this is, I've got this D major spread triad here, so D, A, F sharp. I got the open G, open E, and B flat in the bass. So you say, okay, well, how could you use that? Well, if you did a 2-5-1. That's pretty sweet there, I have to say. So 2, 5, 1. Or I could go 2. This is my C minor chord voicing, open string C, D, G, E flat. That would work as a C minor 7 substitute. Then I'm going to go to my F7 flat 9, so I'm playing, and then, or I can go, which is cool, so I go 2, 5, I'm using E flat major 7 flat 5 to that B flat Lydian augmented chord, or B flat major 7. It's got so many alterations, I just call it a Lydian augmented. But like, right, or you can strum. Now another chord that I really love that's is this F sharp spread triad, F sharp major spread triad, but I leave the open B here, so it creates this dissonance between the A sharp and the B, and it's beautiful chord. So it can be a substitute for F sharp. I also like to put D in the bass, which is beautiful for a D major 7 sharp 5, right? So if I'm going, okay, I can also use it like this, which is beautiful. I put E flat in the base of it. So I'm taking the same shape, put E flat in the bass, and I get a beautiful E flat minor sound. Or I can put A flat in the bass. Now that is a cool chord there. So I've got A flat, E flat, G flat, D flat, open B, and then B flat on the top. Chord progression out of that. I'm going from this A flat minor 9, 11. Then I'm just barring across. I'm pretending it's like an F sharp chord with a fifth in the bass. And I'm playing F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, C sharp, open B, A sharp. So listen. To this chord, where I'm playing a first inversion F sharp chord, but I pop that B up there, so I have this beautiful flat 9 dissonance there. You can write a whole song with something like that. That's a really, really cool chord shape to use. So taking advantage once again, or man, so many different ones. D minor 6, 9 here with the open B and E string. A lot of times people will want to use that minor 6, 9. It gives a film noir sound to it. And those kind of chord voices have that sound, but they're a little tricky to grab on the guitar. If I'm going. Or if I'm doing a 2-5-1 like this, but it's nice to go from A7 flat 9 like this to an D minor 6, 9 like that. So if I get E minor 7 flat 5, A7 flat 9 to D minor 6, 9. That's a great voicing for that. I literally have hundreds of voicings in here. Okay, here's another one. That's another one of my favorites. This is an E sus4 3. Okay, so you get E major. You add that pinky here and you create an E sus4. Cool sound. But what's even cooler is if you put a little major 7th dissonance and leave that open B string there and bar like this. That is a great sound. You can also do the same chord, but where you're barring with the and grab the F sharp there, or you can play it there. But I love that. So, you know, if I'm playing C major 7 like this, or that's a really cool change there, really cool modulation to go from like C major 7, like I'm doing there. So that, you know, if I'm playing, I can go. So I just did 3 different completely different chords where I'm modulating every time and using these open string voicings and creating chords that you can do incredibly great melodies over. Like I said, there's probably 100 different chords in here. This this is a B sus2 with a sus4 in here. These are hard chords to grab. They're all in the book, though. That would be a nice little progression to write a tune over. It's kind of like a 1, 6, or a B, I'm sorry, be a 5, 6, 1. Let's see, what would that be actually? Let me think about that. I've got, actually that would be a modulation there because all of those 4 chords are not, because I had the F sharp there and I have the A in that one, so that actually is a modulation in there. Once again, there's altered chords that you can play. For example, A flat 7 altered using the open B string. So you go 2, 5, 1. That's a really cool modern 2-5-1 there. So here's your E flat minor 7, then your A, and I've got the B open B in there. 2, 1, or 2, 1, which would be a Lydian sound. So 2, 5, 1. Any questions on these? Aaron, you got any questions?
Yeah, give them a second to ask some questions now. What about the Metheny thing?
Oh, that? Oh, the other one.
Yeah.
Oh, Ice Fire? Yeah, that's a good... there's some great examples. There's a couple different examples. Pat Metheny does these all the time. If you listen to New Chautauqua, there are great examples of these open string voicings. New Chautauqua, the tune I played, April Wind. There's a tune called Ice Fire that Aaron was talking about. It's a beautiful tune off Watercolors that Pat's playing a 12 string, and he's going a lot between this. Between this D minor with an open G string and open E, and then he goes between the B flat chord there, but then he eventually pops in the F sharp, which is it's an incredibly great move to it's like that's a modal interchange there to go from D minor. Right, with those tensions, you got the open G, which is the 11, and the E is the 9th. Then you have this B Lydian. You got the 6, you got the 5th, you got the major 7th, and the sharp 4. And I just call it B flat Lydian. And then you got him to then he plays his D major with a sus4 and the add 9 in it. And then he resolves it to like a B flat major 13 sound. So check that tune out, Ice Fire. That's a great example. There's tons of open string voicings in it. I'm not sure if Pat's using standard tuning in there. He had a thing early on. He had a tune called San Lorenzo. That was on an early record that had the it was a 12 string, but the strings were tuned in fifths, I believe. He might be using that tuning on this, although I don't think so. I think this is in standard tuning that he's playing this. I'm trying to think about that because he does some harmonics in it that I'd have to go back and listen to it again, but that's a great, those 3 records have tons of open string chord voicings on it, as well as the first record on Bright Size Life. There's a tune called Unity Village where he uses this, he uses E add 9 going to C major 7 sharp 5, but he plays like voicings actually. It starts out Unity Villa, just start. There's a great Aeolian sound there with all these open, all those open major seventh sounds. Major seventh and major seventh, where he's got this F is a flat 6 there. That's then he goes minor seventh interval, and then he goes to an E 7 sharp 9. Then he goes to an F major 7, and then to the A major 7 sharp 11 chord there with the open E string. Then he goes to the C sharp minor, minor 7 9. Then da 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 da. Then he uses the open D as a pedal, and then he's going. It's a. I gotta think about this. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's, I think chords are like, dun, dun, yeah, check out Unity Village, because I think he's using the open D as a pedal through that whole section at the end of the song too. I'm trying to remember how it goes with the exact voicings he plays, but that's another example where you can use an open string as a pedal, just like I was doing with Radiohead the other day when I was playing Airbag, I think it was. There's other great examples. You know, you don't even have to go to. You can take a band like Pearl Jam, for example. One of my favorite open string tunes is the tune called "Garden" off the first Pearl Jam record, and it goes like this. Let me think. Yeah. That's it. Lesson on finger picking and open string chords like that, but this is a great open string riff. What's cool about it is it's got all these hammer-ons in it. It's got the pull-off here. Masterful guitar part, I have to say. Stone Gossard, I think, wrote that, and that is unbelievably cool. So,
Anyways,
anyways,
questions?
Questions, yes.
Yeah. All right, a lot of people are asking how Dylan is doing.
Oh, Dylan's doing great. He got his cast off his thumb. He's back to full strength on everything. And we haven't done any ear training or anything in about 4 or 5 months. But my wife Nina says, Dylan, you need to get back in shape and start practicing the piano again. And he's going to be taking up an instrument in school. I think the violin in the fall. So he's doing great. He's taking a break with music. He has been for the last few months, but he'll be getting back into it. Getting my girls' drum lessons starting. I'm looking for a drum teacher right now. Anybody in Atlanta that wants to suggest a drum teacher, let me know. Write to me.
Great. Somebody's asking how to get started in improvisation in general.
I think the best way to get started, to me, is kind of the way I did, was learning the basic minor pentatonic scale and playing over simple progressions. Things that it will work over, whether you're playing over just a basic blues and you're simply take this, like an A minor is a good position. You take the just a minor pentatonic scale and make up a little chord progression. I had a friend, my best friend in high school, Pete, who we discovered the pentatonic scale. I had a friend of mine's brother who was a great guitar player, and I was probably about 14 or so, and I'd been playing the guitar for a year or so, and this guy, John Carini, said, I went over to his house, and he was a guy I really looked up to. He was a couple years older, and he was a really good guitar player, and he showed me the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale, and I couldn't believe it. He taught them to me in about 15 minutes or so, and I knew this one, but I didn't know this one. I definitely didn't know this one. I kind of knew this. And this one. Whoops. I kind of knew some of the notes because I knew. But I'd say one basic position like that with one extended position will give you enough material that you can play on for about 6 months or so. And just play over, make up a, play to your iPhone. Put your iPhone or your Android down. Make up a little rhythm track like that. I'm using A minor 7 chord, D minor 7. And then just practice, make up little simple ideas like that, or make up little motifs. So try to make up ideas that kind of, that have a beginning and end, and that kind of cycle around and sound like complete phrases. Just within those chord shapes there. You don't have to try and whip through all the notes in the scale. Just play tastefully. Play like B.B. King would play. And you can add some bends. Then you add some little nuances like that with some bends, So that's where I would start, just with one scale and one progression.
All right, so how do you approach listening to entirely new music?
You mean for learning, or is that for...
Yeah, somebody said he thought Schoenberg was a joke, and then he devoted 3 years of his life studying him.
So I take it he doesn't think he's a joke now?
I guess not, but how does...
Schoenberg is no joke, trust me.
Is there an approach, a general approach to getting into new music? And
well, the more new music that you consume, the more you're able to relate to things that you haven't heard before. And with something like Schoenberg, I was talking to Aaron, who's moderating here the other day. I said I need to do a video on the Second Viennese School. And the Second Viennese School is Schoenberg, Berg, and Webern. Alban Berg, Anton Webern, and Arnold Schoenberg. And that was called the Second Viennese School because the First Viennese School was, well, you should go and look it up who it was. But Beethoven was one of them. And Mozart was another one, but you have to figure out who the third one was. So the more you listen to these things, the more you listen to contemporary music, because I think that's what you're talking about. I think you're talking about more about contemporary music because that takes a lot of concentration, a lot of focus. I was listening to an improvisation that Aiden Essen, who I always talk about, who's the greatest improviser I've ever heard, did when he was here in Atlanta a couple years ago. I found a video of a, I don't know, 8-minute piece. And it's just the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I've never heard anyone play anything like this. And it's something I could listen to for 5 years and not even begin to explore all the different ideas that he's just playing off the top of his head. I mean, it's really astounding. But it just takes repeated listening and concentration, and you have to get in there, dig in with a score if you have one, or with your ear and your pen and paper if you don't have a score, and transcribe. So, but you know, the first time you listen to new music, you just got to get used to the sounds of it. When people over the centuries would introduce new devices, harmonic devices that were never used, you know, people walked out of Beethoven concerts. People walked out of the Rite of Spring by Stravinsky. They'd never heard such things. They couldn't believe it. Outrageous. But now it's just commonplace because these sounds have been absorbed into our musical lexicon. And if there's new things that you're not used to, you just need to listen to them enough and they'll become familiar.
Great. Somebody kept asking if you would ever do a John Scofield type lesson.
Of course. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true. I have one lesson where I talk about outside playing that I teach a John Scofield lick in. I talk about a Scofield, Michael Brecker, and somebody else, I forget. It's one of my 300 videos, so I've already done one John Scofield video, but I love John Scofield. I'm trying to get him for sounding off, actually. But I will do a John Scofield video. I've had Dennis Chambers, who played on Blue Matter and on Loud Jazz on the channel. We talked about Scofield a lot, and I'm a huge fan of his. And I promise I will do a Scofield video.
We have a few more questions.
Yeah.
Is the ability to sight read music fundamental for a developing guitar player?
For guitar, you should be able to read. You don't have to, you know, sight reading is you know, you should be able to work out anything. Is sight reading important? Well, in my career, I mean, I can count on one hand the times that I've sight read. I mean, I can specifically remember I got called in for a gig with a Rochester Philharmonic when I was in, I don't know, when I was 22. And I had to come in and sight read a rehearsal of this thing that was very guitar-centric, and it was a really hard chart, and I don't even remember what it was at this point. But I can think on one hand of how many times I've had to sight read things. So is it important? It's important if you have juries and you're a classical guitar major and they make you sight read. It's important for that. In the real world, is it important? I don't know. If you're a guitar player, I'm not sure. If you're going to be on a gig, depends on honestly how good your ear is. If you can learn the thing super fast, then you don't need to be a great sight reader. Most guitar players are not great sight readers. I read on the guitar because it was fun, and I like to read classical guitar pieces. So, and I would sight read things all the time. But that's me. I'm weird in that way. I make all these videos, you know, so I like to consume a lot of music, and being able to read is important.
We got a little bit of a different question here.
Yeah.
What do you think I should do if I don't have the mood to practice guitar for a long time now. It really makes me sad, and whenever I pick up the guitar, I just don't have the mood.
Then don't play. If you're not in the mood, it depends, you know. I always found that even when I wasn't in the mood, once I picked up a guitar and got into something, I would get into it. It wouldn't take very long. But I would always try and have a task at hand that you want to accomplish. That, you know, whether it's you want to transcribe a solo, you want to learn a tune, memorize a tune, something like that. And that tends to help push along your practicing, I think.
I guess that could also be something like breaking a writer's block.
Yeah, it's, you know, if you're constantly learning new things, people that are actually learning new things, watch some of my videos. That'll break your writer's block. Transcribe things. That'll break your writer's block. People that get writer's block, I won't say this about lyrics. Lyrics are different. But usually writer's block and lyrics come from reading new books that you've never read before. So I would, you know, practice things you've never practiced before. But I always say that anyways. Practice what you do, not what you know. Practice what you don't know, not what you know. And that'll break you out of these things.
We could go on forever. The questions keep coming in.
Give me a couple more.
Yeah. Are you going to continue making basic music theory videos? The first one was fantastic.
Yes.
Okay. And then somebody named Mark was asking...
Wait, I want to say this about basic music theory. My basic music theory lessons always have some weird twist in them. Like, people are saying, oh, why did you make a basic music theory lesson? And then you talk about Lydian triads and Phrygian triads. And I'm thinking, well, because you can go anywhere else and you can find out basic music theory that's missing some stuff. But I'm a completist, so I like to add those things in there. Plus, I like to have my videos are always a little bit, they have to push the envelope a little bit. I can't just make the same, I don't want to, you know, you can always go out and find this other kind of stuff, the other kind of material, other places, but I want to make my thing that's kind of unique to me. So yes, but I will do some more basic music theory. Always with one thing in there that'll surprise you though. Yes, Aaron, what?
Somebody is noticing that in a lot of rock bands like Nirvana and some grunge music, people play a lot of major chords in a row in a progression that just consists of major chords. And he's asking, is that just an extension of power chords, or how do you? What's
yeah, so a lot of times, like Nirvana, you know, I mean, it's interesting because Nirvana has tunes. Some of my favorite tunes that like Heart-Shaped Box. Those are all, wait, that would actually be my, let me think. Da, 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 da. Well, that's a minor chord. Da, 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 da. There's a little third modulation, chromatic median modulation. Well, that's an incredibly great riff. That's a D Mixolydian there, actually. He's going from F major, F Lydian. He's going from A minor to F Lydian to D Mixolydian. That's a D7 chord. So he's going F major 7 sharp 4. That's definitely a D7 chord there. But some in Nirvana, like if you listen to On a Plane off the second record, you know. Start this off without any words. That's all I search on love myself better than you. Know it's wrong. What should I do? Then it goes the chorus. Chords in the chorus, but they're cool major chords. He's going D major, then he's doing a G major 7 sus2 to a B flat major 7 sus2. The first time the Chris Novoselic goes down to G in the bass, which is amazing. Right, and then time he goes up to C. So those are not your typical major chords, really, but they're all major chords in that tune. Well, let's see. Start this. He's doing a G sus4. Without any words. He's doing the melody in sixth with the guitar line. Da, 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 to the third. So, but like in Bloom uses a lot of major chords. But if you think about Teen Spirit, that is in F minor, even though but he's playing like on F, the first chord. He plays actually F sus4 to A flat sus4. Simply because he plays his bar chords here with his third finger barred, and you always hear that sus4 though. It's a super complex melody there, but it's actually in F minor. That's really the only, that's really the only time it changes key is right there in the chorus part where it does that, where it breaks out of that progression. But that tune is in F minor, so not all grunge songs are in minor. I did the tune, the Pearl Jam tune, when I did Garden. That is in A Dorian. Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun. That's all over the place. Sus chords. Spoonman. That's definitely in D minor. That's D minor pentatonic. That whole tune's minor. There's a lot of minor stuff. Rusty Cage is minor. If I think about grunge, a lot of Alice in Chains. That's totally has a minor feel to it. So I wouldn't say that's. I wouldn't say all grunge songs are major. Definitely Kurt Cobain uses major chords in some songs, but in other ones he doesn't. So I wouldn't generalize it like that. There's my grunge, little historical grunge lesson for you right there. I will do a whole grunge video though, I promise, because I love grunge.
Any thoughts on open string tunings? Do you use them? Use them
all the time. If you want to learn open string tunings, for rock, Soundgarden, Chris Cornell, Led Zeppelin, Joni Mitchell. No one better than Joni Mitchell. She has more open string tunings than anyone that I know. I mean, hundreds of different tunings. I don't know how she remembers them, honestly. But Joni Mitchell is by far my favorite open string tuning. A songwriter, anyways. If you go, to get a couple Joni Mitchell records to own. If I were going to buy a couple, I'd buy Hijira. I would buy the Shadows and Light live record. Both those have Jocko on them. And they're amazingly great. The lyrics are phenomenal. The Shadows and Light was kind of a greatest hits of hers live with Mike Brecker, Pat Metheny, Lyle Mays, Peter Erskine, Jocko, and Joni Mitchell. I mean, what kind of a band? That's like... That is a band, and it's a double record. You should definitely check that out. And there's just some amazing, oh man, Jocko's playing on it is just phenomenal. Joni's singing is incredible. And then you'll hear all her weird tunings that are absolutely beautiful. So I'll do an open string tuning. I can do a couple videos on open string tunings. I use a lot of different ones. One of the videos I did where I taught the Chris Cornell song Seasons uses a really strange open tuning, and he uses a lot of open tunings. It opens up your brain into playing things that you wouldn't necessarily think of in standard tuning. That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys want more questions? The Beato book. You can buy it online at rickbeato.com. It's got hundreds and hundreds of open string voicings and 300 other pages, although it's only a PDF. You need to print it yourself. And people always send me their printed versions, which look better than my 30-year-old tattered version right there. My master class, those of you that live anywhere near Atlanta and you want 8 hours of me doing this live, but where I talk about all different genres of music, play examples, hand out stuff that I can't give out, or play on my YouTube channel. That's the beauty of the master class, is that there's things I can't do on YouTube because you can't play certain things. You know, people have said, oh, talk about Danny Elfman and the, you know, Batman things. Well, that stuff is on Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers won't let you play anything. I can't talk about a film score that I can't play the music to, because they literally take the sound out of your video on YouTube. So that's the unfortunate thing. If there was a way around it, I would have done it already. If you'll notice, when I do things, when I'm playing things like talking about John Williams or Thomas Newman or James Newton Howard, I play super small bits, and I play them with a room mic, and I usually talk over it at the same time. That's a way to kind of mask it and get your videos through. So, anyways, there's other videos that I've put up that have not gone through. Anything else I need to talk about, Aaron? Reddit. Go to Reddit and look for Rick Beato Everything Music subreddit, where you can suggest video titles. There's only a few people. We just started the other day, but that's the legitimate Rick Beato Reddit site to go to put things in there. That's all for now. Please subscribe right here if you haven't already, and help us hit 100,000 this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Rick. Take care.